Hello, everyone. Very good morning. I'm Suma Natraj. I'm product manager at IBM Cloud Platform Services. And that was an insightful session from Lokesh. Thank you, Lokesh. Um, so today's topic, right? Adversity is part of corporate life. We all agree with that, don't we? A great team can overcome adversities if it has certain qualities. What are these qualities and how do we build these teams? To talk about on this topic, we have Mr. RamG Vallath. RamG is one of the corporate India's top keynote speaker. He's a co-founder of tech startup Zentron Labs. Let me now call upon Mr. RamG Vallath.
Thanks. I'm good. Good. Thanks. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Morning. So I'm very confused today. I have two hats which I wear. One is a keynote speaker, motivational speaker, growth mindset guru, all that. And the other one is as a co-founder of a tech startup. So I've been wondering which is the hat I should wear for today. And I realized that I need to wear both hats. Zentron Labs is the company that I co-founded. We took a difficult path in becoming a startup. We did not go the software route. We decided to make machines. So we make really complex machines which have almost everything integrated in it. So we have the design team in terms of mechanical design, electronic circuit design, optical algorithm design, and software design. All combined together, we make massive machines. Some of the machines are as big as this room, and which have been deployed across the country. So I will talk about what are the qualities that we need to become successful as a team, as well as individuals. And I'll talk about that from 2 points of view. One is from professional experiences that I've had, and the other one is from my personal journey. Adversity has been my brother, and I have had more adversity than, I guess, maybe the entire team put together out here. That's taught me a lot of lessons. So I want to share both of that with you. So I come from a very small village in Kerala, studied in a Malayalam medium government school where the pass percentage was about 20%. I managed to get into IIT with a JEE rank of close to 100 back in 1985. My life took off like a rocket after that, completed my BTech from IIT Madras, did my MBA from XLRI, and I had a career which was rocketing. So within 10 years after I started working, at the age of 34, I became the youngest chief operating officer in the telecom industry in the country. And I was very driven, very ambitious, and I wanted to be the global CEO of a Fortune 500 company by the age of 45. That was my ambition at that point in time. I also wanted to make as much money as possible as early as possible. Great dream, right? So, well, unfortunately, when you have all these wonderful dreams is when fate comes up, sneaks behind you, and gives you a kick in the butt. And for me, that started with a slight tremor in my fingers and a slight loss of balance. Every time I tried to pick up a pen or a spoon or a fork, my hand would tremble. And every time I tried to climb up or down steps, I would feel as if I'm about to fall forward. I had no idea what is the problem, went to many doctors, nobody could diagnose what is the issue. And over the next 7 years, the condition kept getting worse. Till at the age of 41, I had a fever, and it spiked the condition very badly, and I was completely paralyzed. So at the end of 3 days of the fever, I could not move my hands or legs even 1 centimeter. I couldn't keep my eyelids open, I couldn't speak. And I was wheeled to the hospital, and then the doctors diagnosed what is the problem with me. It is an autoimmune condition, where my own immune system was attacking the peripheral nerves of my body, So both the nerves in my hands and legs were completely shot to pieces by that time. And that had made most of the muscles in my palms, etc., completely waste away. So I was there with all these great dreams, and I was paralyzed in a hospital without even being able to move 1 centimeter. Luckily, the doctors figured out the problem and then they started medicating me correctly. So over the next 5 days, I was pumped in full of something called a liquid called IVIG. 36 bottles was pumped into my body. And I started feeling fantastic. At the end of about a week, I was able to do things I had never been able to do before in the previous 7 years. I could actually run up 9 floors to my office. I could play cricket with my children. And I thought, wow, I've arrived in life. I can go back to trying to become the global CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Well, the condition came back in 45 days. And that's when the doctor said, you know, it's not a permanent cure. You need to keep taking this medication. That 5-day dose had cost 6 lakh rupees. So there was no way I could continue with that. So I had to switch to steroids to suppress my immune system. And steroids have very, very bad side effects. In 6 months, I put on 16 kilos. And I had to have cataract operation for both eyes because steroids put some coating in the lens of the eyes. I would keep tripping and falling because the condition was not completely cured. It was just about managing to walk, etc. And the worst was when I had to travel, and I was director of operations for Hewlett Packard at that time. I had to travel to US or Singapore, etc. And the jet lag would make my condition really bad. So I had to stand there and try to button up my shirts in the morning. It would take me 90 minutes to put on the 6 buttons of my shirt. You know, that is my condition at that point in time. Going to the loo was the worst because I would stand in front of the urinal and my fingers couldn't find the zip because there was no strength, there was no feeling in the fingers, there was no strength to pull down the zip. So I had to sometimes stand for 10 minutes in front of the urinal and even tempted to ask the next guy, can you pull down my zip, please? You know? Life was tough. But I did tell myself that I need to keep a positive outlook in life. So I would walk into a room, I would tell myself that that room would feel a little better because I'm there in the room. So I would crack some stupid joke, make everybody laugh, and I would feel wonderful. I was also constantly looking for solutions to cure myself because I knew that the doctor had limitations. My doctor was a neurologist and he would think of everything from a neurology point of view. There's only one person who knew my body inside out, that is me. And I had to figure out ways of curing myself. So I went through the whole gamut of naturopathy and Ayurveda, nothing helped. Finally, I found a treatment in the US where a doctor was treating patients with a clinical trial, an experimental treatment, and I went for that. Can I have the first slide? Oh yeah, you guys have gone way ahead, okay. So just go back. Go back, yeah. So that's what I used to look like in those days, you know, put on so much of weight. And then I went through the treatment, and the treatment was a mix of chemo, a nice extract from rats, another one from rabbits, and all was put into my body to kill my entire immune system. And they rebooted my body. So they killed the entire immune system, restarted it with my own stem cells, and I started feeling much better. Next. Yeah, so that's me during the treatment. And then I came back to India, and I told myself, I need to fix my body now. So I drew up this nice Excel sheet with 27 exercises and 180 days, each date I put for the next 180 days. And each date, each exercise, I put a number of reps I have to do that exercise. And every week, the number would go up. And then I went about beating each and every one of these targets each and every one of these days. It was an amazing feeling, right? When you got a target for the day and you're meeting the target, you're beating it, you're feeling fantastic. And I was on top of the world. In 6 months, I was able to walk 6 kilometers without tripping and falling, which is a miracle by my own standards. And I could lift 10 kilograms weight, and I could put on buttons of my shirt, and life had turned around completely. But what actually happened was I had also turned around my entire life and reignited it at that point in time because I started writing a science fiction book for children, which is my passion, actually. I had always wanted to write, and lying in the hospital bed in Chicago using I couldn't use my fingers, so I had to use a voice-to-text software. I started my first book. And it got published. Next slide, please. Yeah, so it is a wacky science fiction for children. It's about a time-traveling pumpkin which has come back to save humanity from destruction, because there's a species of green pigs which are very angry with human beings. And the reason the green pigs are angry with human beings is because we play Angry Birds and kill green pigs. So, so the book became a massive hit among kids, and I started being invited to schools to talk about this. And it's a very interesting book, you know, it's a very insane book actually. So there's a planet called Holy Butt where there's a species called ceribums. You can imagine their brain is not in their heads, but it's slightly southward of that, you know. So you have a brain on the left bum and the right bum. So the kids would love these kind of things, and I started teaching them science using the characters from my book. And then I wrote my second book. Next slide, please. Yeah, that's me with kids. You know, so I could actually, I've held 1 hour talks for kids, 1,000 kids sitting in a room like this size, packed in, and the only sound you could hear is sounds of laughter from the children. So I realized that I have the ability to make people happy, and I should focus on that. So I wrote my next book, which is called From Ouch to Oops. It's about my journey, and it is a very humorously written book. And it is dedicated to all the protons in the universe who stay positive in spite of all the negativity whizzing around them. Right? I knew all you engineers would love it, okay? So it became a bestseller from day one, and I suddenly became a bit of a celebrity, you know. I started being invited to give talks like this. And when you write a book, people think you are one celebrity, you know. So I was not complaining. And then I delivered my first talk, and it became voted the best event of the evening. And I realized, wow, this is great. All I have to do is talk about my life and the learnings from it, and people love it. So I just transformed my life after that, and then I said, I need to have a new purpose in life. The new purpose is to touch 1 million lives positively. And that's been driving me ever since, you know. So, thank you. Over the last 7 years, I have sort of added layers to this talk, you know. So I have done a lot of deep research into what made me positive, what made me happy. I call myself the happiest person I met in my life. So why am I so happy? I mean, it's a bit of a mystery, right? So I keep trying to figure out why, and the more I read, the more I learn about positive psychology, the more I can impart that knowledge to people. Because I ultimately want every single person in the room who listen to me to go back feeling a little more positive in life. And that's what has been driving me. So now let's come to what do I think are these qualities which I have learned, right? Next slide, please. Oh yeah, that's me giving Jan. Next slide. So the best thing that happened to me was, at that point in time, Zentron Labs. Zentron Labs is a company which was founded by my classmate. He's a techie, hardcore techie, fantastic guy, a problem solver to the core of his being, right? My classmate from IIT Madras. And 6 months after he started the company, I came in, not knowing what I'm doing in life. All I was doing was going through Coursera and learning stuff, and didn't know where it was leading me. Then he said, why don't you join me? And it was a perfect match. He was a techie through and through. I was a management guy through and through. He had fantastic experience in creating products, and he was part of a very successful startup which was then acquired later called Cosmic Circuits, which is acquired by Cadence. And I was a guy who could actually start organizations from scratch and build it up, because that's what I did in Airtel. So we had a great match, and I joined him as a co-founder. And what I want to share with you now is partly from experience in Zentron, partly from other experiences, and partly also from my life experiences, right? So I think these are the 3 very important qualities that one should have for success in life. One is a purpose, a sense of purpose. Number 2 is end-to-end ownership. And the third one is growth mindset. Now, very interestingly, the acronym stands for a PEG. And I really think that having a PEG a day keeps the doctor away. This PEG is what I'm talking about, not a Patiala PEG of 90 ml. So I want to ask you guys, how many of you heard of Project Aristotle? Anybody? Okay. Okay, so let me tell you what it is, right? Project Aristotle was a research done by Google for their internal teams to figure out what made a team highly productive and successful and what made a team less productive and successful. And Google is very data-driven, so they did a very intense research, completely data-driven, and they came up with this very interesting 5 qualities which are required for people to feel wonderful in a team and contribute and become productive. So these are, number 1 is psychological safety. Number 2 is dependability. Number 3 is clarity and structure. Number 4 is meaning. Number 5 is impact. I'm going to talk about the last one first, the impact. What does impact mean? When you work in an organization, if you feel that the work that the organization is delivering or the product the organization is delivering is in some way doing something which is beyond the organization, which is something great for the world, then you feel that there is an impact of the work you do. And that's essential for people to feel the drive to get up in the morning and come to office to work. So whatever your company is doing, figure out ultimately who is benefiting and how is it benefiting the world. And if you're a leader, this is the message that you need to give to your team. So what is Google's purpose in life? How many of you know that? To organize the information of the world and make it accessible universally, right? And that's such a powerful statement. And we all know, I mean, all our lives have transformed because of Google, right? It's become so much easier to get information, knowledge. No wonder Googlers go around strutting around the place thinking that they own the world, right? And this purpose is something which is essential. For me, purpose has helped me always, whether it was to become the youngest CEO of a global Fortune 500 company, or later on to touch 1 million lives positively. So, just next slide, please. Yeah. So, when you have a purpose, you will always take every single step of the way trying to go towards that purpose. So, as every individual, I would recommend that you figure out what is it that really touches you, a chord in you, and then put a purpose which is larger than life. So to touch 1 million lives positively has helped me because every single day I wake up thinking, what is it that I can do today to get closer to my purpose? And everything I do is around that. So when I travel in a plane, for example, the poor guy sitting next to me, they will, by the end of the flight, promise with tears in their eyes that they are going to buy my books okay, and read it. Because that's the kind of selling I do because of this purpose, right? So I also consult in RamG Foundation. I was recently interviewing a lady for a position there. She was a publishing person, and the interview did not work out, but later on she reached out to me and said she wanted me to write a chapter in her new textbook which is coming out, which is called English Ferry, and she wanted me to write about my life. So a very ordinary person like me today has my life story written in an 8th grade textbook, which lakhs of kids are reading and finding inspiring. So I actually have people, I have kids reaching out to me from distant towns after finding my contacts from internet and saying, Uncle, your story sort of inspired us. How cool is that, right? And so this is the power of purpose. And next slide. And I want to change the world today, So I have written a book for parents to ensure that they can bring up children to be more positive. And what I have done is I spent 4 years actually researching child psychology and positive psychology. And I actually enrolled for a diploma in child psychology to ensure that I don't bullshit in the book. So it's a book which is founded on very theoretical foundations. So That's how purpose drives you. Just go back to the slides again, the earlier 2 slides back. Yeah, so the second one is end-to-end ownership. Now, what do I mean by end-to-end ownership? We all, at work, I guess most of you are professionals who are working in companies, right? And we all have our KRAs at the end of every quarter or every year. There's a new KRA which comes in. We all go after doing our, whatever output is expected of us. However, what differentiates a great organization from a good organization is that every single individual in a great organization would not be looking at their outputs, but they would be looking at the larger outcome of the organization. What I'm doing is adding what is required for the organization to achieve its outcome. If not, how do I reach out to somebody else? How do I reach out to a colleague? How do I help them make that happen? How do we mesh, interface without any friction seamlessly so that we can all hold hands and reach our goal? And I want to tell you a story about my life, from my life, which is not a very nice story. So I was recruited as General Manager Sales in Airtel when I joined Airtel first, in new circle called Tamil Nadu. My target was to achieve 100,000 connections, new connections. Do you remember the earlier days of telecom? It was 16 rupees outgoing, 8 rupees incoming. And you have postpaid connections, which is maybe most of you might be having postpaid connections. When you get the connection, you give an activation fee and a deposit to the company, and then you can keep phoning, and every month end, you get a bill and you pay. So for me, it was so important to get these 100,000 connections that I went after it, and I pushed my sales team. We all went after doing it. After some time, we realized that this, getting deposit and activation fee from customers is creating a little bit of friction. So we said we'll drop that. Finally, we are going after premium customers. They are anyway going to pay us. They don't need to have a deposit and all, safety deposit. We'll just make them SIMs and send it to them. And the moment this happened, all the, in all the franchisee showrooms, there are salespeople there who think that they are all, only the target is anyway to get numbers. So they started getting premium databases from the market, activating SIMs and sending it to customers who did not even ask for the damn SIM. So there were thousands of SIMs floating around in Tamil Nadu, which went to customers who had no idea why they are getting a SIM. And then we started billing them also. At the end of every month, all these poor customers who never asked for the SIM started getting bills. And 700 rupees, 900 rupees. And then after some time, they were not paying. So our collection team started calling them up and saying, "Sir, you're not paid your bill. Please pay the bill." Dude, I've never asked for the connection. Who gave me this connection? And it continued. After some time, we started sending them legal notices because they're not paying. And whose fault? My fault, right? I did not think of the larger organization's outcome as thinking of my own target. And I completely screwed up. And that is a lesson I learned at that time, very early in life. It's really helped me because after that, my boss told me, "This is what you've done, and I nearly got sacked from Airtel at that point in time. Since I was new to telecom, I got saved. And I decided that I'm going to change. I went and sat with every other function, people 4 or 5 levels below me, understood what they're doing, how can I help them, and then started taking every other individual along on the journey. And that's finally what made me the youngest chief operating officer in the telecom industry, in spite of the mega screw up, right? So end-to-end ownership is critical in life. For me, I take personal end-to-end ownership also. I've had many other disorders after the first one because of the steroids I've taken. My bones are brittle. I've got dying bones on both my hip bones. And the doctor first, as soon as I went to the doctor, he said, "You have to have hip replacement." At the age of 50, if I have hip replacement, then at 65, I need to do it again. At 80, I will have to do it again. And each time you do it, it's going to be a mess. So I decided that I don't want to have a hip replacement. How do I take ownership for my health? And I started doing deep research into that. And I went through a magnetic therapy. I went through hyperbaric oxygen therapy. For 2 years, I had only raw vegetables and fruits as diet. to ensure that it improves. And actually, my condition improved drastically because of that. And finally, after staving it off for about 3-4 years, I went through a small surgery where they put a hole and then put a stem cell, and then my condition is cured now. And it's all because I took ownership for myself. So every one of you will need to take ownership for the outcome that you want. And that's the end-to-end ownership about. The last one, growth mindset. Growth mindset is basically the manifestation of growth. And I don't want to get into, I don't have too much of time, so not getting into the details of it. But the manifestation of growth mindset is constantly taking on challenges in life and not being scared of failure. And that's a very, very important quality to have in an organization. Especially, all of you must be talking about agile and how do I get out product releases faster, etc. I'm not a major product gyanu, but I know that to be an agile organization, you need to give a lot of power to people below, right? Decisions have to be taken fast. You cannot go through loops of approval processes. It has to be quick. And so to make all that happen, you need to have the ability to take on challenges without fear of failure. And every individual has to demonstrate that to become successful in life. Now, how do we build all this in ourselves, right? It's easy to say that these are the qualities required. What if I'm born without these qualities? Well, the very funda about growth mindset is that we are all partly born with what we have, and partly we can build what we need to. There is enough research which says that about 50% of your abilities are inborn, and the balance 50% is you can actually build on it. And that 50% is enough to actually put you in the 99th percentile of inequality. So there is something called neuroplasticity, which is if you keep doing certain things regularly, your brain gets hardwired towards doing that faster and better. And that is what we should use to build any quality in ourselves. So if you want to build, for example, purposefulness, think of goals that you want to achieve, and then break it down into strategies, break it down into daily deliverables, and then make sure that you keep a checklist and keep doing those things on a daily basis. Make sure that every single day you're one step closer to your purpose, your goal. And it can be in anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be a work goal. I would suggest a work goal, but it can be anything else also, anything else you want to do. For me, right now, I'm on a path towards losing some weight because this entire COVID actually knocked off all my training and stuff, and I need to restart. So I'm on that path, and every day I have a goal, and I go and hit that goal. So this helps you because your brain gets attuned towards focusing on daily deliverables. And that's really critical for sense of purpose and end-to-end ownership. And for building growth mindset, try taking on challenging tasks at work, things you've been scared of doing. Understand, introspect, and reflect as to figure out why was I scared of taking this particular target or particular goal or particular challenge. Then go after it. Start small always, and keep building the muscle in your brain to go after bigger and bigger things. And that will make you very powerful. Next slide. Now I'm coming to the last thing which is required, not as an individual, but as an organization that is absolutely important for your organization to succeed. And that's called a culture of trust. So now I'll come back to the 5 things that I talked about in Project Aristotle, which is psychological safety, and dependability, right? Next slide. This culture of trust comes from these 4 aspects. For a person to feel safe in a team, for an employee to feel safe in a team, it is imperative that they are able to voice their opinion without being judged. And that's when they get psychological safety in a team, which is the most foundational thing for success at work, for a team to succeed, for a company to succeed. And that can happen when every single individual shows respect to each other. You can have arguments, absolutely, and great teams argue things out. I can have a point of view, you can have a point of view, and I have my logic, you have your logic. Stop at the logic. Don't get emotional. Don't pick on people. Stop with discussing out the processes and not about the person. It's always a nice, good-natured, tough discussion. And you need to defend your point of view. I need to defend my point of view. But finally, we need to come to an agreement so that the company can go forward, right? So that respect is critical. The second one is gratitude. Why do I say gratitude? Because in a great organization, you will find leaders and even team members thanking each other for the normal things they do. And that's very essential for people to feel that they are wanted in an organization. So in a product team, you will have people from different functions coming together to make great things happen. Especially as a product manager, it's so important for the product manager to go and thank each individual for doing their task for that particular day, sprint, whatever, right? So important. And if you do that regularly, you will find that there is much more happiness in the team members when they come to the table on a daily basis and they want to talk about what they've done. And if they have not done something, it is absolutely okay to talk about, pull them up, because that's what authenticity is about. Transparency. If I have made a mistake, come next day to the meeting and say, guys, I'm sorry, I screwed up. I goofed up. I made a mistake. I messed up. And I will take ownership. And that is transparency and authenticity. That's, again, essential for a team to feel the culture of trust. So if every individual is dependable and they take responsibility for their work, and if they do not deliver and they come and say, I'm sorry, but I'm going to fix it. And if the rest of the team supports that person, instead of saying, hey, because he couldn't do it, I couldn't do my task. No, so it's his fault or her fault, right? That's not the way it works. Great companies don't do that. And the last one, and as I said, dependability. It's sometimes important if you're leaders in an organization, if somebody is consistently being non-dependable or being a jerk, being constantly aggressive at team members, not giving them respect, you will have to part ways. You will have to take tough calls. You'll have to tell them to go. And that's also essential. Because a team, the productivity of a team can fall as much as 50% if there is one person who is actually not pulling the weight. Because everybody else will get demotivated and demoralized if that happens. And so it's essential to confront it, talk to the person, try to pull them up. If the person doesn't, then he or she will have to go. And that is very, very important. Now, the last example I want to give you, next slide. Any idea what this is? Okay, it's a stock market, nice one, but what stock market? Which aspect of it? $200 billion going to $2 trillion, right? Market cap of? No. Okay, this is the market cap of Microsoft. Why am I showing this? From 2000 to 2014, if you look at it, it is almost flat. It's going up and down around $200 billion, right? 2014, magic happened. What is the magic? Satya Nadella took over. And he completely changed the culture of that organization. Anybody from Microsoft, by the way? Okay. So, and maybe you can add, but what Satya did actually was to change the culture of pointing fingers and make people work together. And also work with the customer, co-create with customers, having annual conferences in which customers were invited. Every individual in every single function had to meet customers, understand their pain points, understand what they needed to do to make the team work better. Many of the individual rewards became team rewards. So the team would work together to achieve their goal. And that's actually what made that incredible inflection happen. And this giant which is sleeping completely woke up because of that culture change. And that's what we need to do to make a company really successful. At our Zentron Labs, we've been trying to do that to make people feel that they're trusted. So for example, when we have service engineers, application engineers who go to customer sites, etc., we don't have a travel policy. Every individual can decide where they want to stay, how much they want to eat, and they can claim whatever it is. We never put a limit on that, and you'll be surprised, nobody takes advantage of this. Okay, everybody sticks to what is minimum required. They're happy. Nobody comes and says, this limit is not good enough, or nobody comes and says, boss, I spend too much. We have found that every single individual is a responsible individual. So why are policies there to curtail all this? Because that one or two people who take advantage of a system, to curtail that, you're actually you're blaming the entire system, right? You're actually saying that all of you may be chores. And that's not the way it works. People have to be trusted. They have to show trust. And we keep stressing this in every meeting. And this is the kind of behavior we want. This is the way we want people to behave, with respect and dependability with each other. So that's it from my side. I just want to leave the last message with you. You guys are all product guys, right? Don't think of yourself as just product guys. You're actually changing the nation. You're the people who are building this nation, moving from a service economy to a product-based economy. So you are awesome people. So give a big hand to yourself. Thanks. You can connect with me. RamG Vallath is my thing, or info@ramgvallath.com in case you want any specific advice on anything. Yeah. Any questions? Have I taken too much of time?